Good night, Mr. Junior Barrack.
Good night.
And tell the nation, who is Mr. Junior Barrack?
Oh, well, all right. I'm a 63-year-old male. I have lived in Movan. I lived in Toko. I live in Diego Martin. I spent most of my early life in Toko. It's wonderful. I have I have been engaged in politics for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was a UNC senator.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I am in the PNM right now at this point in time, where I believe will be the place I would like to remain for the rest of my political life.
Mm. But tell me something, Mr. Barrack. What made you come across to the PNM from the UNC because you were serving as a senator? What made you come across to the PNM to want
I
to?
I thought that myself and Mr. Pandey had run our course. We
Mhm,
were quite close. He took some policy directions which I did not agree with,
mhm.
and as a result of that, I offered my resignation.
Oh, so and that was when? That was since
That would have been in 1996.
1996. So
Okay.
you basically is like a big man in the what you call a big man in the business in the PNM.
When I came over to the PNM would have been 1999 when I started working with Ronald Boynes and his brother in Toku. I was the personal assistant to the Minister of Sport, Ronald
Mm-hmm.
Boynes, and I also was advisor to the chairman of the regional corporation, Ronald Boynes, which
Right,
I worked with him for several years,
right.
over 7 years.
Over 7 years.
Okay.
Okay. Eric Quinn.
Hi, it's a good night to you,
Good night.
Mr.
Good night.
Barrack.
Yes.
Well, I'm Eric, co-host
Uh,
with um the Fearless Warrior. Right
all
now,
right.
you said that you were in the UNC up until 1999, right?
1996.
Or 96. My correction.
I started working with the PNM in 1999 with
1999.
Boyne Stanley.
Okay. All right. And okay.
I became a
I
member of the party in
mhm,
2002.
2002. All right, Mr. Barak. So what made you throw your hat into the political arena within the PNM internal election?
It was never my intention to challenge for leadership in the PNM.
Mm-hmm.
I had known Mr. Rowley for quite a while. We
Mm-hmm.
have had several contentious activities while he was ministers and other things and so on. And I always believe that maybe he is conscientious in some ways, but sometimes what he did, I was not impressed with it. Some of the things that we encountered over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So there is the International Decade for People of African Descent. You know about it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That International Decade for People of African Descent allows for developing programs for the liberation of African people because United
Mm-hmm.
Nations has decided that it is supporting a program to help African people because they are in trauma, they are into crime, they have areas of low ownership of housing. There are a
Mm-hmm.
number of factors relating to the African community. And the United Nations formulated this proposal. This proposal came out of the Durban Declaration,
Mm-hmm.
right, which dealt with matters against racism and all those things.
Okay.
So the PNM General Council appointed myself,
Mm-hmm.
Fitzgerald Hines, and Mr. Harvey Boris to
Mm-hmm.
do a proposal for the party. I'm a member of the General Council. And when I wrote the proposal, the Mr. Harvey actually asked the council to congratulate me for the work I did in putting the proposal together. Well, the proposal went to General Council and it never reached the General Council. The secretary,
Mm.
Mr. Cummins,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
decided that he's not going to show the proposal to the General Council, and he allowed me to make my presentation, which was well received, rapturous applause for my proposal, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to take my seat, the chairman, Mr. Ember, asked me to put the proposal in writing.
Mm.
I had to inform him that I gave the proposal to the General Secretary over a month ago, before the last General Council election, the
Mm-hmm.
meeting. And as a result of that, they kept the proposal. They never made the proposal available to the General Council. So General Council never had an opportunity to vote on the proposal. They shelved the proposal, and it is now approximately 5 months since the proposal had been put before General Council, and it has and they never saw it. I consider that to be a betrayal. The proposal that we put forward was quite interesting. It had to do with the declaration, for instance, of slavery as a crime against humanity.
Mm-hmm.
It had to do with the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, still in the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, that discriminate against African people, that that take away their rights, their fundamental rights and freedom under Section 4 and 5 is taken away by any law which was in effect before the coming into effect of the Republican Constitution of 1976.
Okay.
And therefore, you as you are right now, there are areas about you. If you perform them under Section 4, as you're right, but there's a law existing right back into slavery that is against what you are doing. The law that goes back into slavery will have precedence over your fundamental rights and freedom. It's called Section 6, the same
Mm-hmm.
as the exception. The exception was one of those exceptional clauses in the Constitution. So I was calling on the government to do these things. We also proposed a development strategy to deal with the African question. You have a situation where the youths are dying, the the whole situation of crime, the home situation of not homelessness, but lack of ownership of homes, because a significant amount of African people are squatters. They are squatting on state lands, they are squatting on private lands. Approximately 60,000 are squatting on state lands. And if you want to help African people, there's no better place to start than to regularize the squatters, to give them their land, to give it lands that they have been in occupation for some over 100 years. Like in Laventille and those places, there are people living on state land for over 100 years,
Mm.
and the government will not give them the land, which will cause them to have collateral. They can go to the bank, they can send their children to school and all these things. So the proposal includes all those things, right? But the general secretary, and I blame the political leader for that, and the political leader are not releasing the document, and they are not allowing for the implementation of the program, which is incredible. It is this is now in December, it will be 8 years since the UN Declaration for the International Decade for People of African Descent has been in effect. 8 years. And the government has done, as far as I am concerned, no significant activity for our people. And this is unacceptable. And why I say the last straw is that on many occasions, not one, but several, I have had problems with the Prime Minister. He, as the Minister of Housing and the Minister of Planning and Development, and any other position that he might have held over the years. Because he has taken positions which were inimical to the interests of African people. And I have confronted him on those issues. Those issues have been burning. You know in the hill.
Yeah, I know Wendy Hill in Aruka.
You know,
Yeah.
yes, up on my side.
That job on your side?
Yeah,
You,
that's
you
not
and you don't know
that's
and you don't know Junior Barrack?
no. I know when the hill is just north of Bonnet Gardens.
Right, and you're right, good.
Yeah, over the bus
Well,
route.
listen, I
Yeah.
work in Windy Hill. I brought the development here. The demonstrations and so on from Windy Hill in wrong the parliament and wrong AGC building is I brought them there. And the fellas in there, the youths in there, the ones who drop the placards, and they also help with monies to get maxis and so on to take the people down the road. If you're living right there, you will know how easy it is to drag down street trees and so on and block second crossing and create a problem. But we take I took out I got a month the permission from the commissioner of police, and we took our demonstration to Port of Spain. There was an IDB loan arrangement of 40 million US dollars to install in the sporting communities 5,400 households. Lands, they fixing lands of 5,400 spots. And Mr. Rowley was the Minister of Planning. He and Mr. Manning signed the loan agreement. And he was also the Minister of Housing because he came into housing for the implementation of the project. And our demonstrations took place in Port of Spain against him because there were only 2 months or 3 months remaining before the reporting period that when the end of the loan would have concluded. So we marched in March, and the loan was coming to an end in May. But we had serious runnings. I'm campaigning against him because of what he was doing. But I put all that aside, and I said, listen, this document that we are now working on here is so important for the African community. It includes things like land. It is so important. Take, for instance, reparation. I'm sure you're aware of reparation.
Yes, well,
Yes, indeed.
Yes. Reparation, we are asking England to give us money for reparation, aren't we?
yes.
Good. But that is nonsense. It is complete bonkers. We have England left literally thousands of acres of lands in Trinidad, hundreds of thousands of acres of land under the government. If the government wants to give reparation, it could start with itself. It can give African people land. I will tell you what I would do if I were the prime minister and if I becomes prime minister. I will calculate 10 acres of land for every individual who survived slavery. And that is 20,600 persons. Here's what I would do. If you take for instance, when you look at what happened with the mulattoes who came to Trinidad under the settler population in 1783. The mulattoes got 8 acres of land for every slave they brought to Trinidad. The white people got 16 acres of land for every slave they brought to Trinidad. If you get the average of that, you will realize it is 12 acres of land on average for each slave that you brought in. I am saying that the government, and when slavery was abolished, they got paid 20 million pounds for us. But that was not the whole value. The whole value, according to Dr. Hilary Beckles, was 47 million pounds. So Britain paid part and they allowed the slave to work for the rest. That is where the apprenticeship period came in. The apprenticeship period meant that the slaves had to work for 6 years to pay off the debt of 27 million pounds. So we
27.
know that they got, not only did they get money for us, but they got land. So what I'm calling upon the government to do, give 10 acres of land to every slave that survived slavery.
Okay.
Those slaves, that will be 20, that will be 260,000 acres of land. We can't talk peanuts here because we're talking about the liberation of a people. We're talking about the ability to sustain yourself. So you're looking about that kind of figure. And what we will do, I am proposing, it's just a proposal, it can be modified, to give 8,000 African young families 5 acres of land. Right. I am proposing
Nice.
to do agricultural programs in the 20,000 acres, like cocoa, coconut, large acres under teak, mahogany, cedar. That's for the long term future,
Yeah.
right? Large acres in those kinds of areas. Intercropping, cassava, and so on.
But
Yes, go ahead.
but let me ask you something, Mr. Barrack.
Mhm.
So people may look at it as though you have a personal vendetta against the prime minister,
Mm-hmm.
and because you did not get your proposal to go forward.
Mhm.
And if there's one person who did not carry the proposal forward, then why blame the political leader for the proposal not coming
Okay.
forward?
Because he was supposed, the chairman of the meeting, when the chairman realized that the secretary did not get the document out, because he said for the proposal also includes 15 years, we have to organize ourselves in the party so that we will not lose election for the next 15 years. Why 15 years? Because it will take about 10 years for the implementation of the proposal.
Right.
The proposal. Just as the UN had said, that was the international decade. Since nothing has happened, I propose that we run the decade starting from January of next year to um, to December of 2023 to make to 2022, sorry, to make 10 years. So what happened is that he was supposed to come to the council and address the matter. The chairman um, uh, uh, said that he was going to tell him as soon as he came back from abroad, and he will address the council, and he never did.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. So when he didn't do it, and the chairman was asking the general secretary, well, is this a secret document? How come I'm the chairman? I appointed the committee. The committee submits its document, and the general secretary has not submitted it. So the chairman is sitting on the top of the table in general council, and the secretary had not given him a copy of the document, and the document was before the council a whole full month before, but before the last general council meeting. So I believe, and this is not a matter of vendetta. I don't hold vendetta. Even because you don't believe because I'm talking strong, I dislike Dr. Robbie. I actually like Dr. Robbie, but I
Okay.
don't play by African people business.
Understood.
Good.
So, Mr. Barrack, now I
Yes.
have some message. I have some comments here from our viewers online on the
Mhm.
live, right?
Yes.
And you stated that the PNM with African people, but let's forget that the party is made up of a variety of personnels, of ethnic groups, right?
Yes.
So you are, in other words, trying to direct all the concerns to one particular group,
Not at all, sir. Not at
right?
all. But when you finish the question, I'll answer.
Right. So I want you to tell me, I want you as a candidate that vying to be the political leader of the People's National Movement, right? What are your plans to transform the People's National Movement Party as the next political leader in the upcoming internal elections?
Like may I um, digress a bit? You made a point concerning Trinidad and Tobago is like multiracial, multicultural, and the PNM has to rule within the context.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I emphasizing the African position? Is that you? And you made that point earlier.
Okay.
Should
What
I
I'm
should I
saying,
comment on that before we go on?
all right, yeah, you go ahead and comment on that, and the next
And
question
then I'll
I
give you
just
my
let
time. All
you.
right.
Yeah.
All right. No problem. All right. Under Mr. Manning, colony workers got over 7,000 colony workers got 2 acres of land with infrastructure that cost the government billions of dollars. Each individual colony worker
Mm-hmm.
got a lot of land in addition to the 2 acres of land, a lot of land to build a house, right?
Yeah.
Right. And while he was doing that, the squatters and they have a bill called it's called normally called the Squatter Regularization Act, but
Yes.
it is really Land Tenure Regularization of Tenure Act, 2000, 1998. And that land and the people in Windy Hill,
Mm-hmm.
were waiting to get their deed of lease, their lands developed, and they're still waiting. But currently workers get theirs. I am not against our Indians or anybody. I helped bring Pande into power, right? I mobilized the Baptists, the Oratians, the Emancipation Support Committee when Mr. Manning wanted to take away the holiday and give uh, um uh, arrival day. You can remember that?
Well, actually, yes, I recall that he would have taken away that Indian rifle and put it as a rifle day because he deemed it fit, right? That not only the Indians alone didn't arrive here, right? It was a whole everybody arrived at different time
But
span
why
in
take
this
away
country,
Emancipation Day to support that?
right? Understood. I understood. I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Barrack. I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
And then when Manning would have taken off the Indian Rifle Day, and he would have put it as a Rifle Day, and then when Pandey went back there, he put it back as Indian Rifle Day.
Yeah,
Right
because that's what
now,
it was. That's
right?
what it was.
Indian are now.
We are not Indians who
Go ahead. Go
arrived on
ahead.
that day.
Go ahead.
That was all right. But what I'm saying is that when you think about the resources of Trinidad and Tobago, like the sand, the gravel, and so on, it's coastal and they're getting the license. It is
Mm-hmm.
Junior Sammy and they're getting the license. And when you see somebody being arrested for illegal mining, you know who they are. They can't get they can't get the army. It's 500 acres of land. Tapana Quarry was given to Kosal. I am and I'm the PNM and I'm stomaching that. I'm not areas. I'm not complaining. Right. The first Indian Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago came in because I went to his office and told him he could become Prime Minister. I wrote the document that he used to become Prime Minister with. You know why other people become Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago? It is the ill treatment of the leaders of the PNM on their own base. It is their own base. Every opposition party in Trinidad and Tobago is relying on the dissatisfaction of the PNM base for their base. You know
So,
that?
so wait. So what you're saying, Mr. Barrack, is that if it is that the PNM base is not treated well, then the opposition then capitalizes on that to pull the voters to come across to them. That way, basically.
That is traditionally what has happened.
Say that again.
That is traditionally that is
Yeah.
what has happened.
Right.
Right. Every party that has come to power in Trinidad has come to power on the backs of the Africans who are disaffected by the PNM's treatment.
All right. All right, Mr.
Right.
Barrack.
No,
All
no.
right. No, I
Ms.
would have.
Barbara Cohen is saying that you're a backstabber. I'm trying to figure out what in what way, Miss Valerie. I'm trying to get because I don't want.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand that too.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Barrack. All right. No, you would have said your part, right? Now I want you as a candidate that vying for the post of political leader within the People's National Movement, right? What are your plans, right, to transform the party? Because you know next year, God's willing, the party is going to reach 67 years, right? January
Right.
coming,
Mm.
right? So I want you as the candidate vying for that leadership of the party. What are your transformation for that party going forward?
Firstly, it's very simple. The PNM has the greatest structure. One of the things that Williams had left is a legacy of the party. The party structure is what I referred to in an interview some years ago as the Holy Grail. I found the Holy Grail. That's what I said. So this party structure is just brilliant. You start with a person on the ground in a constituency, in a polling division. You bring a number of people, you form a group. That group is called a party group. That is the basic unit of the party. And then you go to you put people from that, you go to the constituency group, send them to 3 persons, sent to the constituency group. That representatives in reserves. Then the constituency group elects the executive of the party in the constituency.
Right.
And also send 3 persons to general council to represent the constituency.
Yes.
General council is therefore made up and comprise the very root of the party coming up from the ground. It's up from the ground.
Right.
And general council is the second highest decision making body in the PNM outside of the convention. Now, here, right now, I'm a member of general council. I will not be a member of general council after the 4th. But right now, I'm a member of general council. And I can tell you, no important decision about government is made in general council. The executive and the so-called leadership of the party create policy among them. Those policies are not ratified by the general council. And those policies become government policies. And that is why we're in this mess today. Because the party, the leadership of the party, does not take into consideration the people who are designed by the nature of the organization to make decisions. And if you at any time interfere with Mr. Rowley in that general council, one man, I call his name Campbell, from Maruka Debaland, got up and said the party is neglecting the rural areas. He called it rural neglect.
I know, Mr. Barrack, I beg to disagree with that statement.
Well,
Right?
but sir,
No,
I am
hold on,
I
just
am talking. I
no,
don't
no,
know. I don't know you're supposed to disagree with me.
no, no, no. I know. Yes, you begin a statement there, right? No, you have to have evidence to back up that, right? No, you said that the organization or the PNM party would have neglected certain rural areas.
No, 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 no. I did not say that. I said Mr.
Okay,
Campbell raised that point.
right.
And then I did not say what Mr. Rowley said about it. But
Mm-hmm.
you are free to talk. I did not say
Right,
that.
right. I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Barrack. But you go ahead. You go ahead. The floor is yours.
No, well, Will, you said I said that. I did not say it. I
Well,
quoted it
I stand
again.
corrected. I stand
Right.
corrected.
Good.
I stand corrected.
Right. Good. And Mr. Rowley ripped him to shreds. He did not stop there. He then referenced persons who came down to General Council for the selection committee and their behavior. That are the people in Lupino Borne West. And ripped them to shreds. And when he's finished, there's no reply. You can't ask him anything. You can't tell him anything. He just walks out of the meeting. And that's the end of that. The Prime Minister does not answer questions in General Council. Right. He comes to General Council, he sits down, and then he listens to everybody else. And whatever comments he wants to make afterwards is not challenged. He doesn't report to General Council. And that is one thing that has to change. The General Council, under my leadership, will have the power to make decisions and to develop policy. The lowest level of the party, that is how it is supposed to be, must discuss the highest level of policy.
But tell me something, Mr. Junior Barr, because if you're on Central, you're on with the executive of the PNM or
No, the General Council.
the General Council. Stay on this side. Let's stay right which it is there. Stay, go back, which it was. Go back ahead with no, 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 no.
More to your left.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Go back more to
Because
the
a
left.
lot of
Go
people
back more to the
complaining they ain't seen, they're not seen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
I'm
back
so
more to the
sorry,
left.
but what happened is that this is an old computer. This one came about 10 years old. It's
Right,
still
but
too
come more
old.
to the left. Come more to
Yeah.
the left.
Come
I'm
on, more
sorry
to your,
about
yeah,
A
to your
little
left.
more to the left.
Right.
Nice. Nice. So we see
Right.
in Junior Barrack now.
that.
No,
Right.
no, come back left. Don't go back right.
All
Right.
right, right.
Right there.
Right, stay
Right there,
right.
good.
Stay right
Yeah.
there. Now, since you were on you are on General
General Council, I
Council,
was a
right?
member of the General. I'm a member of the General Council.
You are a member of the General Council at this point in time still.
Yes.
So you will be part of the decision making process
Yes.
as a member of the General
Yes.
Council.
Yes.
Then what position you would have held at that point in time or this point in time?
Oh, just an ordinary member of General Council.
It's
I,
just a
I was a member of the committee, but the international for the International Decade for People of African Descent.
right. So
What?
you on the committee, right?
Well, that committee is an ad hoc committee and would have been disbanded when the report was laid in the table.
So therefore you would have not been on the committee, or you still would have been on the committee.
No, it's an ad hoc committee, so its life is when the report is complete. Well, as far as I'm concerned, my report is not complete because it has never been placed before the General Council.
Right. So being that you are a committee member,
Mhm.
you would not. What you are saying that you would have not been given an opportunity to be heard by the
No,
executive.
no, not to be heard in that sense. I'm heard. Nobody can stop me from talking. I
Right.
get up and make my points.
Right.
Fearless.
Mhm.
Right. So fearlessly. So that's not a problem. What I'm saying is that the policies of the government
Mhm.
does not arise, is not derived from the party itself. It is the leadership
Mhm.
or who are making those policies without reference to the General Council, and those policies are becoming government policy. That's what I'm saying.
But wait. So let me see if I can get this right, because I think the public may want to get a little more clarity
A
on
little
this,
more clarification.
All
because
right.
if it is that you have the constituency level, the constituency then picks an executive, then you go on to the delegates, and then you have the conference and all these different things. Isn't that not the people from the ground being selected to represent, to make the policy for the party, and also to put forward policies and positions for the country?
That is along with the national convention, which is the highest decision-making body of the party.
Right,
That is the fact.
right,
Between conventions, the General Council is the highest decision-making body of the party.
right. But who did they take the instructions from? Not the people who would have elected them to actually run the affairs of the party?
No, the general council is not a creature of the executive. The general council is derived from the people,
Right,
and it is the second high. And listen, I will repeat myself. It is the second highest decision-making body outside of the national convention. The executive takes its instruction from the national convention and the general council. Right.
so
All decisions of the general of the national of the executive must be ratified
right.
by the general council for it to be legal or
And
legitimate.
what you're saying is that that don't happen.
No, it doesn't happen.
So even though we under a new system of a one man, one vote, that still ain't taking place. Or is it that the
When you
members,
see where the absolute legality of the decision of the general council is required,
mhm,
right? Like the fixing of the election day,
right,
or if you want to make some changes to the election and so on,
right,
that is observed. But
right.
let us take, for instance, violence as a public health issue. We don't see that. We don't. You know when we know it is a government policy
Mm.
when you read it in the papers or you listen to the news.
No,
It's changed.
but isn't the government policy separated from the from the party?
No, it cannot be. Otherwise, they are running something different. They're not within the PNM. The decisions of the party will, the decision of the government will not be the policy of the party.
No, but let me see if I get a little more clear here.
On layman terms.
The party, this internal election here is for people who want to go up for executive and these things, right?
Different
Hmm.
areas.
And
Hmm.
different positions in the party.
Yeah.
That does that mean that they have control to say what is the policy that will govern the country?
They have they have the permission to propose policy.
Right. They have.
Those policies would be ratified either by the National Convention or
Mm.
the General Council.
So if it is, so let me ask you this question. So if it is that you become political leader of the party, let me just say
Yeah.
you become the political leader of the party,
Hmm.
then what you may be saying is that the executive of the party who will be elected after the convention, you may now be able to remove the leader that sits in the House of Parliament.
General, Mr. Devon, let me say this, right, Mr. Welch? Let me say this. Follow my perspective very carefully.
Right.
I did not say that. At no point in time did I indicate any situation where I said that.
No, but I'm asking you if it is that the the party could make policies or propose policies, and the party and the government, because they had to separate the government from
Party.
from the
Hmm.
party. Am I wrong or right?
How do you separate the government from the party?
But remember, one is elected members, people who have gone and voted as members of
That
parliament,
general election.
and
Hmm.
one would have been internal, where you
Of
pick whoever
executives.
you want to be as the executive.
Executive. Hmm.
Yes, you may have
Let
some
me ask you. Let me ask you a question, so if I could understand you clearly.
right,
If a person ceases to be a PNM,
right.
could he continue in government?
In what way? In terms of what?
Let
In the
us assume that you no longer are a member of the PNM.
right.
Hmm.
Could you remain a minister?
No.
So there is no separation. If you are a member of the executive, of the national executive, and you fail as a member of the PNM, could you still be a member of the executive?
No.
All right. So the concept of the separation of the government and the party is baloney. It is utter nonsense. There is no separation.
No, but
The party is both in government and in policy.
Okay.
Right.
Let
no, but,
me.
but hold on, Eric, hold on. But what I'm asking you, Mr. Barrack,
Good.
is that okay? The let me say the like the media, the let me say like the person who going up for welfare officer. They are not a minister and they are not a MP in the parliament, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if they wish not to, they wish to resign or whatever they want to do, they cannot. That will not affect the government that is in the parliament.
Mr. Welch,
Yeah,
I am when I spoke about the national the government, which is the cabinet or the
right,
government of Trinidad and Tobago, and
Mhm.
I talk about the legislature, the
right,
members of parliament in the legislature.
right.
They cannot hold office if they cease to be PNM. It is the law.
Right.
It is constitutional. And as a matter of fact, it's in the constitution and it is in the standing orders of parliament. I am
Mhm.
not talking about an individual in the executive of the party, but if he ceases to be a PNM, he ceases to be the position that he holds.
Right.
So being a member of the PNM is pervasive.
Mhm.
It trumps all positions of government
Mhm.
or party.
So let me ask you this now. So election is in the air. Are you on a slate?
No, I am running by myself.
So you're running by
So
yourself.
you are.
How do you plan to? Because let me say you're getting there. How do you plan to work with the rest of the executive? Because you know, people can say, well, okay, we're not working with Junior Barrack, and therefore you may just be an executive member but don't have no power. How would
If
you?
I am the leader of the PNM,
Mhm.
I will be able to get people to work together. The
Okay.
gentleman here is probably from Bonner Gardens,
Right.
and he would know that Windy Hill is not an easy place to work in.
Mhm.
I united the entire Windy Hill people. That's why they were able to go down and march in Parliament down the road. Whoever they are, whether it is UN. When we went to meet the Prime Minister, after while we were demonstrating against Mr. Rowley, the Prime Minister called us to talk to him. And in that grouping, Diane Bishop, a UNC, was a member of the delegation.
Right.
Right. I don't play with that. I bring people together. I have worked in all kinds of communities. I work in places like Vegas, in commercial lands.
Right.
I don't ask permission to go in. I work in Scorpion and develop roads and so on inside there.
Mm.
I work in Bagatelle, Sea Trace, Blue Basin, North Post Road, preventing last from breaking down squatters' homes, and he has to build them back. And he built them back.
Okay.
And so my work in Grandy, right across the corridor, is extensive. It is not my work only as working with the Baptists and the Horatius and the Emancipation Support Committee. Mr. Demon, let me explain to you. In either of my incarnation, whether I was working with the UNC or working with the PNM, there is not a member of parliament, including the prime minister, that has done more work in the African community and development work than I have.
Okay.
So how do you plan to campaign at this point in time?
From here
It's
on.
simple. I remember I don't own the votes of people. I will present my case and it is up to them to vote for who they want. And if they vote Mr.
Okay.
Rowley, he will remain my leader. I'm just challenging him.
Okay.
Right.
All right, Mr. Barrack. Well, a lot
You
of
have
people
any
on the
other
live
question?
here.
Go ahead.
Hello?
You have any other
Yes.
question? Albert?
No, I have a no. Somebody on the live here would have sent a message, right?
Mm.
right? It come from Dexter James, right? And he would have said that there are people who were not PNM, right?
Mm.
Was appointed to positions within the party and governments. How would you like to address that
That is not possible.
situation?
If you hold in, they can appoint you as a government lower level operative, but they cannot appoint you as a senator, and they cannot appoint you cannot be a member of parliament if you are not a member of the PNL. It's against the law. That is out of the question.
Okay.
You cannot be, and in order to be a cabinet person, like for instance a minister, you must be a member of parliament. So it's automatic that all members of parliament all members of the executive or the cabinet must be by necessity a member of the parliament and therefore a member of the PNL.
Okay. I have a next one here from Susan Jackie. She
Yeah.
said, why you did not give the former prime minister these pointers as to the land acquisition you were stating, right? And why you were able to give her that advice to for the land as to what took place in Chakaramas under her tenure.
All right. The question is that I should have given the advice to Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa?
Yes, you should have given her advice as to what the land grabbing down in Chakaramas, where they lease the land to the 1%, right? And this is the end result we have today.
All right. One of my closest friends was a man called Richardson.
Mhm.
He lived in Abu Pujad Street in Degomati. His family was one of the families that were removed when Britain leased the when removed from Chaguaramas when Britain leased the base to the Americans. And his family were forced to give up the lands there. He was my friend, and he had my full support. He fought the matter right up to the Privy Council, but he lost, and he lost on a technicality. Now, I am 100% behind the lands in Chaguaramas given to the people who previously owned it before the Americans took charge. So that's a position I have, and I will challenge anybody on that. I supported my friend. If he had any discussions and so on, and he wanted me involved, I supported him.
Okay.
Right.
All right. And my question to you, we not straying too far from the political arena, the internal elections, right?
Mhm.
Now, I have a question for you. What are the challenges, right, that you are expected to address within the party if elected as political leader?
So tell you the truth, the party, the members want to have a greater say in how their country is run when they are in power. That's my opinion, by my countless encounter with PNM people, right? So I know and I believe in my heart they want a better deal. They want a fair shake, right? Those issues will be my priority. Just as I will work to get the government to fix Windy Hill. They spent $14 million in Windy Hill when they should only have spent 13 million because they wasted time and the cost of material and so on went up. In fact, they spent close to $15 million in Windy Hill area. Right. I am going to work to get the party to work primarily in the first instance to deal with its base, and then we will talk about anything else. But
So
the
let me ask,
base of the party must not be disrespected.
So let me
The
ask.
base,
So let me ask you this question. So because somebody's asking, what are you going to do about the race issue that is most important now, that is affecting probably the party or even the country?
the main issue, has the person identified the main issue, or they want me to say what I think the main issue is?
Well, what is the main issue? In fact, I think that it may
The
want.
main issue in the party and the country is that approximately 40% of the population of Trinidad and Tobago are suppressed, is suppressed. Right. That is the main issue in Trinidad and Tobago. It is fueling the crime, it is fueling the unsafe situation we have, it is fueling the murders, everything.
So this
And
42%. Hold on. This 42%. Let me not beat wrong.
about 40%
40%.
40%?
So let me
Okay.
not beat
of
wrong.
the population of Trinidad and Tobago is African.
Right. It's 40% is the Africans. Right. So let me right. So talk plain, Mr. Barra, because people want to know where this 40% that is fueling the crime rate in this country, or that is the perception that people may have. You would say.
Yes, I agree.
So it is a perception.
Everything that you see and hear is also perception. You perceive.
Right.
You perceive through your eyes, you perceive through your ears, you hear,
Right.
you perceive through touch, tactile, you
Right.
perceive.
Yes. But I
So,
can also.
but when we use the word perceive, normally we refer to having a notion that may or may not be right.
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 But if we go ahead saying the same thing and singing the same song over and over and over, then it becomes reality. That's all.
No, it's still a perception of reality,
It's still a
not reality.
perception of reality.
Reality. Hmm.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
it is Goebbels. It's Goebbels who made the point. A truth oft repeated becomes a lie oft repeated becomes a truth. It's a saying. It's not real.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
Mr. Barrett, I want to thank you for coming on to the backyard.
Thank
I
you.
I know that we had some technical problems, and I know that
Yeah.
people want to see
Mhm.
your face a little more because some people might feel like you're hiding in the background. They
No, no,
Yeah.
no, no, not at all. Not at
right,
all. I normally do these things. I did one today on 102 with Nori, and I did it on my phone.
mm,
Right. It is very unfortunate because I know I don't use this but I'll try to clean it and get it worked out. So if I am to come on your show again, I will be ready for it.
mm.
Yeah. I
So,
apologize for that.
but I want to I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your perspective on what
Uh,
you
one just before you go, sir,
mm.
I was supposed to talk about it in my national development strategy. I
Well,
will. I hope that you will allow me to come back at some other time to talk about that.
well, I know
Yes,
that.
we will glad to have you back again because I have a lot of questions to really put out to you, but time may permit because
Yeah.
I don't know what is your schedule are. You know what I
No,
mean?
no, no.
So
I will
we
be
can
available. I know
yeah,
Devon.
we can
Devon
have a
knows that
part two
I
of this interview because I have some pertinent questions to ask, but
and I will make myself available, hoping that
right?
I will be able to answer them.
So,
Just so the one
well,
thing. If I have a live personally, Susan Jackie, right?
mm,
She would have stated with respect to the pointers you were given, right, on the operation of the executive, seeing the works of the UNC, right? How come you did not give those pointers to Kamala on the manner which she manipulated her internals? What would be your take on this before you go?
My Kamala and I were senators together. I was a senior in the Senate. I acted as the leader of opposition business in the Senate while she was a member of Parliament. But I departed before she became, a prime minister.
right.
Right? So I never had the direct interaction with Mrs. Kamla Prasad Dusesa on many of the things that she may be accused of doing while she was in government. Right? Good. That is my statement. But I would every time you did not before now. You didn't hear me talking and criticizing anybody before, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm what you call an introvert, a recluse. I do not come out and talk except when I must. So what happened? I may have seen things that she did, heard things that she said, but I did not respond verbally to it. I might have simply disliked them, right? But that is not a problem for me because the idea is that there are other persons who have done very good criticisms of this camera, beside Cecil. But there's one interview I did with Dane Francois. It's a 3 hour interview when he was in 91.9. And you will see my criticism of Miss Kamala Prasad Bisesade. Right? If you the next time when you have me on, if you ask me about it, I will give you details.
Okay, greatly appreciated, Mr. Barrack. I must say, Dev, we had to conduct a round two of this
No,
this
we have
interview,
a part two.
right? Because if you are vying to be the political leader of a party, you would have to go over the grills. You know what I mean?
I no, I am
Right?
literally enjoying it.
So
Yeah.
we will continue this interview at a date that Devon going to send to you, and we will
Yes.
get a more
They
in
could
depth,
call me anytime.
right?
Call me anytime.
And right, so must say it was a great interview. Although we start late, but
Yeah.
they say better late than never,
Right.
But
right?
I know for a fact, Eric and Mr. Barr, that I know that a number of people will want to know that what is your policy, your strategies, in terms of taking the party forward if you become the
Yes.
political leader.
And, I would be delighted to speak about it in
And
great detail.
and we would want to have a part two because we will also want to interview the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago because we would ask him some of the same questions that ask him some of the information that you would have put out in the public domain
Yeah.
in terms of some of those policies and some of those things of African for African people. And also, we will want to interview the other candidate to hear what he is saying also on some of these matters because this is the official
Election
station and John Kosoba, we are going to be the first on the scene in terms of bringing all the candidates. If we have to bring all the candidates who have
42 of them,
yeah,
42
well, it's not
of
42
them.
again. It's not 42 again. It
Oh,
has gone down now to approximately, I think it's 28. So a number of them have dropped out of the race. Some have gone mad. Those who just seems not to be able to go forward. But I want to thank you, Mr. Barrack, for your bravery to going up and against the Prime Minister
for
and
that leadership.
for the leadership position. So,
Hmm.
Eric, any
Uh,
final words before you let me
yes,
go?
Well,
yes. I want to say that it's not bravery. I have put my life on the line for African people over the years. All my work has been done in the most dangerous areas. Sealers,
all right.
John, right,
Now, I have a
Pittsburgh.
question for you,
Yes.
Mr. You see, I want the
Uh,
Leave
the
it for
am
part
I
two.
am I close? Am I closing? Am I closing?
Yes, leave it for part two. Leave it for part
part two.
Right.
Part
I'm
two
simply
will
saying no,
continue.
no.
It
You
was
said
nice.
I'm yeah. You said that I'm brave. It
two.
is normal when you're doing something that you believe must be done, and no one else will do it. You just go and get it done, regardless of what it is. Right. So I see this as a mission, and I like to accomplish my missions. But whatever the Lord has in store for me, that is what it is. I don't have to be no political, but I will come here and I will talk what I believe is to be said. That's all.
All right, all
So
right.
final
Well
words,
said.
Mr. Eric.
Well said. Well, as I say, we're going to continue this at a date
Yes,
that
we'll
the
have a
whole
part.
and thing. So it was nice, Mr. Barak. Thanks for your time.
And thank you too. I appreciate it.
Right, for your thing. All right, blessed night.
Thank you.
So
Bye bye.
Yeah.
So that was Mr. Junior Barrack in part one, because we know we're going to have
A part
a
two.
round two.
Yeah.
And I know that there are a number of candidates who are fighting right now to come in. And we're going to try to have Mr. Clayton Blackmon. We're going to try to have Miss Laurel Izama, because you know that's a high battle, because apparently Mr. Clayton Blackmon, they have said that he was supposed to step down, and he said no, he's not stepping down.
Yeah.
He's
It can
standing strong,
challenging.
and he's going forward. He's going to battle it out to the end. I know that
Yeah.
Dominic Romain and
Don't forget, yeah, independent as well. Who going up independent? Ow. We have a lot of surprises as the days and
mm,
the weeks unfold. Right? We who knows? We might have the prime minister on our on the live on the station.
well, yes,
You
he may
understand?
very well, he may very
Even
well.
the PRO, the
Yeah,
Honorable Dr. Faris Awari.
yes, and we are trying our best and utmost to get some of the unopposed persons also to
Indeed.
come forward and talk, and what how they're going to plan to carry the party forward, as even though they are unopposed. And also we will have coming up very soon, but we're just finalizing certain things. We're going to have Mr. Quasi Robinson coming in
Social
on the
media.
backyard. So this is the only station that is
For election,
elect.
PNM, the People's National Movement internal elections,
Mm-hmm,
December the 4th, 2022.
mm-hmm.
Guys, stay tuned to Backyard. It's going to be hot, hot, hot as time go along. You'll join myself, Fearless Warrior, Val, and the whole
Yes,
team will be out and about,
and
bringing
you're
you
going to
live coverage of the election as it unfolds.
and Melba is going to be back
And
also.
Melba,
So the backyard is up, and we are
and
running,
running.
and let
So
people
you all will see when you all see me again. Dev,
yes.
it was nice.
Don't worry.
2 minutes to 10,
2 minutes to 10. So we got to be out of here.
right?
What you were
All right,
saying?
guys. All those on the live, like Valerie, Gemma, Suzette, Melba, Dexter, Agatha, Nicole, Carol, Marlene, all those who was on the live sending your messages, and it was really nice. So, guys, it was nice. We shall twist again. Stay tuned for further updates from the backyard. Or like the page, share the live, share the page.
There we
I'm
go.
Eric.
Yo.
And I'm out.